Are you feeling stuck in a rut, personally or professionally, knowing deep down that you are capable of so much more, yet procrastination and self-doubt seem to be holding you back? Imagine breaking free from those limitations, igniting your inner drive and building unstoppable momentum to a life of continuous growth and excitement. I'm about to reveal the very simple yet profound steps to absolutely shattering those limiting beliefs, cultivating a really powerful mindset, and consistently taking action towards your biggest goals so that you can finally change your life for good. So what if the biggest obstacle standing between you and your dream life isn't something external, but it's actually up here within your own mind? So that brings me to my first tip to change your life. The way you think dictates your entire life. And what's really nice is that you're actually in control of the way you think. Often we think when our thoughts come, they define us, but our thoughts don't define us. Our thoughts are just thoughts. We can notice them and choose not to believe them and choose to believe something else. We are in control of that. So the idea is to take responsibility of your thoughts. That is the very first thing you want to do to be able to change your life. So we have this inner voice. That is our thoughts. We want to notice it. Notice when these thoughts come up that are limiting us, that are telling us that we're not good enough, that are telling us to be scared and to pull back. Notice when these things happen and make a choice to think differently. So I spoke about having a choice in a video, which I will link above. Definitely go and watch that one as it relates to what I'm talking about. You have the choice to either have a growth mindset or a fixed mindset. A growth mindset is when you believe that you can change. A fixed mindset is when you believe that your beliefs are real and that is who you are and there is no changing that. And when you have a fixed mindset and you don't believe that you're in control and you're capable of change, you're not going to make change. So if we're walking to change our lives and you have a fixed mindset, that is your first major obstacle that you need to get past. So recognize now, do you have a fixed mindset? Do you have a growth mindset? Things happen in our life that we can't control. That's life. The things that you can control though are the way that you react to circumstances of your life and the way you think about the circumstances in your life. That's what you're in control of. So you want to focus on the things that you are in control of. When challenges arise and things happen in your life that you're not happy with, understand that there's nothing you can do about that, but you can control the way you react and the way you feel about it and how you process it and how you choose not to ruminate on those challenges and choose not to be the victim of those challenges. Okay, so moving on. So once we realize that we're in control of how we move forward in life and we do actually have control of our thoughts and our beliefs, an important part of changing our lives is really understanding who we are and where our beliefs come from. So you can't change an old belief that's holding you back if you don't really know where it comes from, where it stems from, because then you can really tackle it and say, well, that's not true. You know, that was a belief because of something I experienced in childhood, or that was a belief passed down to me from my parents, and I don't necessarily believe that that's true. So to do this and to understand more about yourself, you want to be doing self-assessment and self-reflection work. So that could be something like journaling to understand yourself better. It can be meditation as well, and being committed to a general practice of just being more aware. The more aware you are in life, the more you are able to change it, the more you are able to grow. Because when we're not aware of something, we can't change it. You know that quote, what's measured gets improved? We have to measure where we are now. We have to understand where we are now if we want to get to where we want to be. So being committed to learning about yourself, learning about why you are the way that you are because of your experiences through life, how you were raised in childhood, will help you move forward and will help you change and will really help you to improve your life. So when we understand ourselves more clearly, understand our beliefs and the way we think, we really can then go on to set goals in our lives that are achievable because we understand how we work. So if you want to change your life, you want to be setting goals for yourself. And there's obviously a lot of content online about goal setting, but what I would share from my own experiences is that when I set too many big goals at once, because I was excited and I was motivated at the time, I would get really overwhelmed and then I would basically not achieve any of my goals. So nowadays I like to focus on 1 to 3 goals at a time, depending on how big they are and how much of my time that they take. Often it's about 2 major goals in my life. And then when I look at those big goals in my life, I kind of seize up and I go, oh gosh, that's really overwhelming. How am I going to do that? That's such a big thing. How am I going to accomplish that goal? The idea then is to not look at the whole thing like that, because that is really stressful looking at a big goal like that. So you want to break it down. So you go, what are the steps? How do I get from A to Z? And you map out how you are going to do that goal. Write down all the things that you are going to do to get there. And then you just go down your list and you do those things. And the thing is, your journey to getting to that end result, it may change along the way. You might add in different things. You might take away different things. It's not linear, but it's okay. You don't need to know that full path. You need to make a little plan, and things might change along the way, but make a plan. Break up your giant goal into lots of little steps, and then just go down your list and start. Make a start with one of the things that you have to do. And then have your goals at the forefront of your mind as well. Sometimes we write down big goals and write down all the things we have to do, and then we kind of put it in a drawer and forget about it. Have it at the forefront of your mind. Do something every day to get to that goal. That's a good way of reminding yourself and making it a habit that you're working on that goal, is to do it every day. If you leave it for a week, you might risk forgetting about it and not accomplishing that goal. But if you're doing something little, something tiny every day to get to that goal, you're reminded, and then it just becomes a habit of your everyday life that you're working towards that goal. And now, speaking of habits, another thing you want to do to change your life is to work on building positive habits and then work on removing negative habits. When I'm adding habits into my life as well, it's kind of like goals. I don't want to be trying to add in 10 new morning habits all at once, because it's just going to overwhelm me and I'm more likely not to keep up with all those habits. Working on one healthy habit into my life at a time, or removing one negative habit out of my life, for me, is the way to go. And then once that habit is really stuck, then I can move on to my next habit. So start small with habits, don't overwhelm yourself, and set up environmental cues. This is another way to remind yourself that that is what you are working on at the moment. So if you want to build the habit of yoga, you have your yoga mat out. Maybe you have a sticky note up on the mirror saying, do your yoga. Maybe you have an alarm that goes off on your phone every day at the same time saying, time to do your yoga. Things like that. That's environmental cues. And that reminds you that you need to do it that day. And then once again, try to do it every day, because that really helps. Even if it's a couple of minutes, 5 minutes, doing it every day is kind of what helps cement it into your habitual memory. And then also the other tip for habits is to habit stack. Habit stacking is when you stack your new habit that you're trying to build on top of another habit that is already a habit for you. So the habit of brushing your teeth, that should be a habit that we all do already. And you can stack another habit that you're wanting to do on top of that. So I'm going to meditate after I brush my teeth every morning, something like that. Now, out of all the things I'm talking about today, I think this next bit is probably my most favorite, and probably the thing that I think will have the biggest impact on changing your life. And we briefly spoke about it earlier, but that is to change your self-talk. Your self-talk is that little voice inside your head that is talking to yourself. Sometimes it's loud and we can hear it really clearly. Sometimes it's quite soft and it's more in the subconscious mind where it's playing in our head, but we don't really notice it. The idea is we really want to be quiet, get into almost a calm, meditative state and think, so we can notice that voice in our head. The way you talk to yourself in your head defines your entire life. Think about it. You wake up in the morning, you go to the mirror, you look at yourself, and your inner voice starts talking. What is it saying to you? Is it saying, gosh, you don't look good today? Those wrinkles are becoming more clear. Is this what I really look like? Etc., etc. That will then go to define how you feel about yourself. And how you feel about yourself will affect you taking action on your life. So really, we want to feel good about ourselves. That's clear. And the way that we feel better about ourselves is by noticing our self-talk and talking differently to ourselves. And that may seem way easier said than done, but that's the thing. It's hard at first. It's weird at first when you look at yourself in the mirror and you decide that you're going to talk better to yourself. It feels unnatural and it feels weird at first. And it feels unnatural because you have spent 15, 20 years habitually telling yourself in the mirror that you're not happy with what you see. That's why it feels weird when you then go to the mirror and say, wow, I look beautiful today. Icky feels weird because you're not in the habit of doing that. All you need to do is continue to say that, continue to talk to yourself differently in the mirror over and over and over again. And eventually that's going to be your new habit. That's going to be your new preferred way of talking to yourself. And then you start to believe it. It's that simple with how it works, but it doesn't happen like that. And I think that's why a lot of people give up on things with the way that they talk to themselves, because they talk to themselves once in a nice way and then go, why don't I feel better? You've got to keep at it. You've got to keep talking to yourself differently. So for me, for years, what held me back was telling myself that I wasn't smart enough. And what I did was I figured out where this belief came from. I know where it came from. I understood that I can change that belief, that I'm in control of my beliefs, that I can change the way I feel about myself. And then I started rewriting it. So what I did was I noticed every moment in my day where my voice inside my head would say to me, you're not smart enough to do that. Oh no, you shouldn't do that because you're not smart enough. Oh no, don't make that move because you're not smart enough. And every time I would catch myself saying that, I would say, oh no, Emily. No, you are smart enough, Emily. You can also learn anything that you want to learn. You just got to read and study and learn it. It felt weird at first to tell myself that I was smart enough because I didn't believe that. So I had to say things like, you are doing things that make you smarter. You are learning. You love learning new things. I started with these kind of things. So if you are the type of person who goes and sees yourself in the mirror and says bad things about yourself, it may feel really weird to straight away say, hey, you're beautiful. Yeah, it feels weird. So if you want, what you can also try is saying, I am learning to love myself. That's a really good start because that's a little less drastic than just saying, I am beautiful. I am learning to love myself. You want to avoid saying things like, I could do that. That's really flaky. You want to say something like, I will do that. I will versus I could. Do you see the power, the different power and energy that I will has compared to I could? So these are the types of things that you want to notice when you are talking to yourself. And it can be actually hard to notice your inner voice. Like I said earlier, sometimes it's really loud and sometimes it's a bit more quiet. So it often helps to be quiet, to really stop and try to listen to it. And that's where meditation comes in as being just a great practice to have in your everyday life. And meditation doesn't have to be like sitting here going like this and getting rid of all your thoughts. It's not about that. It's like close your eyes for 5 minutes and just see what comes up. Notice those thoughts that come up and go, okay, I noticed that thought. That's quite a negative thought. Wow, do I really believe that about myself? I can change that. That's not 100% true. I can change that thought. I'm in control of my thoughts. Let's talk nicely to myself. That's all you have to do when you close your eyes. It sounds really cliche, but it's that how would you treat your friend type thing. Like we wouldn't speak to our friends in a way that we do speak to ourselves. So I like to remind myself when I say something bad about myself, I wouldn't actually say that to a friend, would I? No. So don't say it to myself because it's really damaging. The more you say a negative thing to yourself over and over and over again, the stronger those neural pathways in your brain become. So the stronger the beliefs become in your brain, and then you believe it more and more and more. That's why if you've been saying something to yourself for 20, 30 years, of course it's tricky at first. Of course it's hard, but it will become easier. And I promise you you can do it. You just got to focus on doing it every day, a little bit by a little bit. And in a few weeks, you'll see a difference. And then in a few months, you'll go, wow, is that the person I really used to be? Was I really that cruel to myself? It's earth-shattering. Like, really, changing your self-talk changes everything. When we change our self-talk and we start to believe better things about ourselves, we start to believe that we're capable of bigger things, it's really empowering, and it's much, much easier to take action on the things that we want to achieve. Nothing is going to change in your life if you don't take the action. Yeah, we know that, right? Like, some magical fairy isn't coming from space. I don't know, do fairies come from space? I don't know. Some magical fairy isn't coming down from the sky and just going, ping, your life's going to be changed. No, we have to take action. But action can be super hard when we don't believe in ourselves and when we have these really big fears about taking action, being fearful to do the scary thing, being fearful that something bad might happen, being fearful that we're going to do it wrong, being fearful that it won't work out, being fearful that we might make a fool of ourselves, being fearful that we might be judged by someone, being fearful about what other people might think. But this is where successful people stand separate from those people who don't achieve their goals and don't make a life that they love. Successful people, they make big decisions and they take action despite being fearful. They still feel scared. It's not that they don't feel scared and that they're not scared that they might mess it up. They're not scared that something might go wrong. They're still scared, but they do it anyway. They take action anyway because they know that their life isn't going to change and nothing is going to improve if they don't take action. And when you're scared of something, when you are scared of an outcome and you choose to not take action because you are worried about doing it wrong or worried about what might happen if you mess it up or whatever your fear may be, you're making a choice based on fear rather than love. And you are essentially holding yourself back. So what I like to do when I'm feeling fearful about making a choice, because I'm often feeling worried about making a choice and taking action on my biggest goals, what I like to do is I like to say to myself, okay, if I do this thing, what is the worst thing that could happen? So for example, recently I enrolled in an online course. So I'm back to being a student and it's going to take me maybe 2 years to complete the course. I've wanted to do it for a while, but fear was making me not join the course. And that fear was that I wasn't smart enough, that belief that keeps coming back up in my life. So that was stopping me. My self-doubt, my self-worth was stopping me from enrolling in a course that could change my life and could make me grow. So when I decided to enroll, did I suddenly feel smart enough? No, that fear is still there. That little fear of not being smart enough is still there, but I keep reminding myself that I can be smart enough. I can learn, and I'm never going to get anywhere. I'm never going to achieve my goals if I don't try and if I don't take action. So this is what I did. I said to myself, what is the worst case scenario? What is the worst thing that could happen if I enroll in this course? The worst case scenario is that I fail, I don't pass, and then I guess I've spent 1 to 2 years on something that hasn't worked out for me, and I've spent some money on it, and I've lost that money as well. That's my worst case scenario. Saying that out loud, I go, oh, okay. Well, if that did actually happen, if that worst case scenario really did happen, what would I do? I mean, yeah, it would suck a little bit. I've spent that money, I've spent that time, and it hasn't worked out, but it's not the end of the world. I'd be okay. And I probably would have grown from the experience. What would I have learned from that experience? Even if I didn't pass, even if it just doesn't work out for me, what will I learn? How will I grow as a person? Every experience you have, particularly the scary ones, the ones that are rooted in fear, that you're like, oh, what if this doesn't work out? Those are the ones that are going to make you grow. Those are the ones that are going to change your life the most. Okay, successful people out there who have built lives that they're really proud of, they have done things along the way that haven't worked out, but they've made those decisions, they've taken action despite being fearful. So guys, these are the things you need to do to change your life. And I'd love to know if something resonated with you from today's video. What are you going to take action on? Which part of today's video are you going to change in your life today moving forward? I challenge you to spend a week making that your priority, whether it's changing your self-talk, taking action on something that you're scared of, setting some goals, changing a habit, doing some self-reflection work, understanding more about yourself and where your beliefs come from. What are you going to work on going forward today? I'd love to know. Let me know in the comments below. I hope this has been helpful for you. And thank you so much for joining me today. Go check out my content for more helpful videos like this. Bye.